Welcome to the afternoon shift. It is Thursday, October 30th. I'm Adam-llorens.
And I am Maxwell-Fuller.
You never even addressed yourself as Maxwell.
Maxwell.
Yeah,
it's a different, it's a new day.
Yeah.
Not only, no more AKs.
Yeah.
I'm Maxwell. I'm legit. Don't you see the glasses? I'm legit.
Right.
The news viewing audience, they don't like the AKs. They don't want the AKs. They don't want the
Do you have
foolery.
data on that? You have data?
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't have any data on that. But they don't want. Listen, I could be Max Fuller,
Sure.
AKA Froron Mamdani, AKA Zoran Max Donnie,
Yep.
AKA the Black JFK, but
Yep.
the viewers don't want that.
Right.
They want Maxwell.
Yes.
So that's why, I'm buttoned up.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I had another button, I would button it. I might sew on another button.
Yes.
Just to button it up. But I'm
What about tomorrow?
digressing.
Are you going to try to be something? You going to do a Halloween themed something or
No.
no?
No. Maxwell. I'm just
There's
Maxwell.
news tomorrow,
There's
yeah.
news tomorrow too.
Yeah.
Even though it's Halloween.
Yeah.
It's news tomorrow too. So
Yeah.
I'm just Maxwell from here on out, like the singer.
Yeah.
Pretty Wings. You ever heard of it?
I've never heard that song.
It's
no.
a great song.
No.
Great song.
How does it go? Yeah.
Pretty Wings.
Oh,
Something
okay.
similar to that.
Okay, yeah. We're going to sing a jingle here later in this first
Are
segment.
we?
Well, we're going to be talking all about Minnesota Rusco. Grace
Oh,
Henry,
yeah.
who's switching the show, she loves this company and loves this jingle.
She's
yes,
all,
Grace,
she's
right?
all over this story.
I love the jingle.
Yeah.
I've never been in the business with Minnesota Rusco,
Mm.
but yeah, and I mean, there's really sad news with that company. I feel really bad for everyone involved, and for those who don't know, and we'll get into this a little bit more, but unfortunately, it seems like Minnesota Rusco has closed their doors.
Yes, yes. Very, very sad. I know people that grew up in this state, they love that jingle. It's
Yeah,
become iconic.
for
So
sure.
we're going to talk about that. We're going to be talking about SNAP, but also in the first segment, school referendums. It's a huge thing here in Minnesota. In November, there's going to be a lot of sort of budgetary changes happening to that. We're going to be talking to Kirk Schneiderwind. He is the executive director of the Minnesota School Boards Association.
Oh, wow.
This will be great after this first segment. Maybe we can talk a little bit about, is it Eastview High School?
Eastview High School.
Eastview
That's
High
where I
School, yeah.
graduated.
Yeah.
I'm an alum of Eastview High School. Where'd you go to high school, Grace?
Yeah.
I went to Summit High School in Nashville, or Spring Hill, Tennessee. So.
Yes.
Oh, that's right.
Yes.
I forgot you guys didn't. What was the name of your high school?
Grosse Pointe South.
Grosse Point.
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
with an E at
With
the
the
end.
E, I was gonna ask.
Gross with an E and point
Okay.
with an E, yes.
I bet your school rivals had fun with that, huh?
Oh, we rivals with Grosse Point North.
Yeah.
so,
Oh,
yes,
okay. So they were
yes.
gross as well.
Yeah,
so it doesn't really.
Yes.
Kind of cancels each other out.
Yeah. The other schools didn't like coming. They didn't like playing the Grosse Point schools. So it was fine though. People usually beat us, but I was all right on the soccer team. So I was.
I always forget that you're a soccer guy.
I player. I'm not
Yeah,
a fan of
yeah.
the sport. I don't really watch. I don't play or watch the sport at all.
Right.
But I'm not like.
But you were elite.
Yeah, I'm not like a Pierre. Pierre,
Strong
he had
feelings.
very strong feelings towards soccer. There's gonna be a live press conference happening in Hennepin County, talking all about domestic violence. This is a very serious issue. There have been a couple of people that have died. One just last month. The other, several months ago. There's gonna be a press conference all about sort of the status of these cases and how it relates to the Minneapolis Police Department.
Yeah, absolutely. I think some people are kind of questioning how domestic violence cases are processed and investigated compared to other cases, and kind of like the speed of which those processing and that those investigations happen. So I'm curious to hear what they have to say.
Yes, so that'll be interesting. And then there's this band called Reasonable Doubts.
Yeah.
It's 9 members. All of them are judges.
This is not the Jay-Z album. That's the name of Jay-Z's debut album.
Okay.
Reasonable Doubt. This is not. We're not talking to Jay-Z.
Right, we're not. We're talking to some Minnesota judges, justices in the Minnesota Supreme Court. They all have this band, and they all play different instruments and sing, and they do covers of different songs. U2, the Eagles, among others. Yeah.
Ludacris,
Ludacris.
T-Pain.
Yes.
They do everything. All the hits. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So they
Tony
do.
Ayo.
Sure.
Yeah.
I don't know who that is. Tony
He's part of
Ayo.
G-Unit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 50 Cent's old group.
Yeah, I knew 50 Cent. Yeah.
But see, that's why they're they go for the deep cuts. They don't go for the obvious stuff.
That's right. So that's gonna be a very interesting conversation. And then Paranormal Activity. I just thought this was the name of a movie that was a little bit of a viral movie, maybe 15, 20 years ago. But it's a real thing. There's a whole Twin Cities Paranormal Society. It's a real legitimate thing.
It absolutely is. And we have the co-leads of the Twin Cities Paranormal Society, Thomas Troop and Don McLean, who are going to tell us all about the work that they do with the Paranormal Society, and maybe spook us out a little bit with some scary stories.
So, maybe just a little bit of a primer. What exactly is paranormalness?
I think and then we'll have to ask them this, but I think what qualifies would be kind of anything that's like alien. Have you ever seen an episode of the X-Files? Anything that could be in an episode of the X-Files. Basically, aliens, like I think they call it cryptozoology, stuff like Bigfoot,
Yeah.
The chupacabra, stuff like that, ghosts, demons, kind of anything above normal, hence the name, paranormal.
Yeah, it's gonna be very interesting. I think there is a ghost that is in here because the light sometimes just kind of comes on.
They're gonna have their gadgets, they're gonna have their gear, so maybe they can investigate this very room, Studio 9. It's brand new, but you never know. Maybe it's built on some type of burial ground or something. Who knows?
Yes. And last but not least, we're gonna be bringing on a Twins' new manager, Derek Shelton. No, I'm joking. We didn't get Derek.
I don't think he wants to talk to me.
Why?
He hasn't done anything.
Yeah.
He hasn't done it yet.
No. It's all
smiles now.
Yes, it was a hire that the Minnesota Twins made yesterday. Very particular timing with it being the World Series Game 5 too. So, but that's very strange. Let's get into some headlines here briefly. SNAP benefits. This was a story we covered yesterday. We talked to Second Harvest Heartland. They're expected to expire on November 1st. More than 440,000 people in Minnesota depend on SNAP every single month for food.
Yeah, it's really scary stuff. And from what I've been reading this morning, it sounds like there's at least some type of cautious optimism from people in the government that this shutdown could come to an end. And obviously, it can't come any sooner for these people. 450,000 Minnesotans, and then you got to, times that by 50? All around the country. There's millions and millions of people out there that are going to be short for money and help with food and assistance with food. So that's really scary stuff. So hopefully, everybody on both sides of the aisle can come together and end this thing quickly and get those SNAP benefits back out to those people. And I know there's lots of restaurants and food shelves and stuff out here in Minnesota because we're community oriented here in the land of 10,000 lakes. So there's lots of restaurants and food shelves out there trying to do their best to help. Yeah,
there's a list of restaurants out there on fox9.com. And if you know of any other restaurants that we didn't list on our website, email fox9news@fox.com. You could also DM Max, and Max can promote that as well.
Yeah, so, absolutely. The Max Show with 2 X's on Instagram, or afternoon shift _Fox9 on Instagram. Paul and Grace they'll see that and they'll pass that along like a game of telephone.
Yes, absolutely. And then the other headline, like we said, Minnesota Rusco, it's closing. Grace has promised us to give us a rendition of the iconic Minnesota Rusco jingle. Grace, the floor is yours.
Gosh. You were doing it much better. You're doing like an R&B.
You guys can do a duet. How about a duet?
You want to do a duet, Grace?
Okay, yeah,
1, 2, 3.
Minnesota Rusco since 1955.
Wow. That's the first time I'm not going to hate.
That was not.
The eyes were closed. It was coming from the soul. Listen.
I'm not. There's pain in my voice.
There's pain in your voice.
Pain in your voice. Sad that it's ending. Sad. Sorry, Minnesota Rusco. I never heard of you until today. But sad that you're shutting your doors. Your jingle is iconic. Kirk Schneiderwind, he is part of the Minnesota School Boards Association. He'll be joining us next to talk all about these potential financial changes that are coming to Minnesota schools. Hopefully, people can get the funding that they need.
Yeah, absolutely. We got to get. It's a shame that schools have to even try to fight for the funding that they need. But unfortunately, that's the world that we live in. But hopefully, they can get everything that they need and some.
Yes, that's right. A little bit of school talk coming up right after this. Don't go anywhere. Be a little bit of a trying month next month to try to find some financial footing to allocate some resources to different schools across the state.
Yeah, absolutely. Unfortunately, a lot of schools, because of rising costs, inflation, all types of stuff out there, as I'm sure that we'll hear in this following interview, they're looking more and more to the local taxpayer to help them out. And it's a shame that they have to, but it's the world we live in.
That's right. And we're joined now by the executive director of the Minnesota School Boards Association, Kirk Schneiderwind. Kirk, welcome to the afternoon shift. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks for coming on. Can you tell us what financial changes are coming next month? I read that you're going to be turning more to local taxpayers. Maybe tell us more about what's going on.
Well, yeah, this is, who doesn't love talking about school finance and elections, a few days before the first Tuesday after the first Monday, right? So I think what we see this typically are school districts have become more dependent on local operating levies as well as other levies that help maintain their facilities, build their buildings. And so on Tuesday, many of our school districts, approximately 78 of our school districts, will be going out to ask their local citizens for revenue that is important not only to their programming, but to their security, to cybersecurity, safety, facilities, all of those things that make our public school districts effective and safe for our students and families.
So how exactly do these referendums work?
Right. So uniquely, Minnesota requires our school districts, if you want additional revenue, or to go to your local voters. That's unlike other local governments. And so uniquely, in addition to that, is unfortunately sometimes the voters may say no. So that can have implications as well. But there really are three basic questions that our school districts will be asking. One will be related to your operating referendum, and that operating referendum really does the day-to-day stuff for our school districts. And we have seen increasingly our school districts become much more dependent on that operating referendum over the years. A second one is what they call a capital project levy, and that really is about capital projects. That can include technology, school safety, handicap accessibility, those perhaps some or mostly are smaller projects, but I think the other important one in there, maybe I mentioned this, was technology, because is once you kind of get down that technology train and you need to upgrade, you need to keep it relevant, you need to keep it important. So continued investments in that is something as well. And then thirdly, we have what we call our bonding requests. And our bonding really focus on facilities for our school districts, whether you have aging buildings or buildings that need some serious remodeling or upgrades. That is a third option for our school districts to seek local revenue to help, whether it's build or remodel their school district buildings.
Kirk, have you faced any sort of pushback from any sort of citizens that maybe don't want to fork over some extra cash to help out the school board association?
Well, sure. I think these elections, these local school district elections, are inherently local. I mean, they really, and so among the citizens, as you can imagine, I think one of the things they know that it will be on the ballot in November. And so our school districts, I maintain, do an outstanding job of taking the time to inform and make sure that the electorate is knowledgeable about what they're asking for, whether it's one of those three levies that I shared. And they also share the consequences if this does not pass, and what this may mean, whether it's increased class sizes, a delay in the facilities, perhaps a delay in the cybersecurity insurance, or whatever it may be that they're asking their citizens for.
We talked about it a little bit in the intro to the segment, but what are some of the reasons that local school districts are turning more and more to these referendums?
Well, I don't know if it's so much more and more. I just think it's part of the equation. I think our funding, as we look at this, our funding really does come from local communities, our local districts. A large chunk comes from the state, and then another chunk comes from the federal government. And so when we see perhaps some delays or uncertainty at the state or federal level, then we also see many of our districts who want to maintain and continue their programs may go to their taxpayers for local money to pay for those programs. So it's something that we see every year. And I think one of the things that we also know is that there are time limits on these levies. The legislature has put a time stamp on those, and most of those are, at least on the operating levy and the cap project levy, anywhere from 6 to 10 years. So the cap is actually 10 years. And so that's what we also see is if our districts have become accustomed or dependent upon the local levy, if that goes away, the programs that there was funding will also go away. And so many of this is timing. And so many of them may be being pushed up against that 10-year limit, and they need to renew that levy. And so that's what our school districts will be doing.
Kirk, how do Minnesota schools, public schools, fare against the other 49 states out there? Like, where are our students ranking in regards to test scores and college placement compared to other states?
Well, I think that's a complicated question. I think that I maintain our Minnesota school districts are as strong as they have ever been. Now, do we have work ahead of us? Absolutely. And I think the MCA test scores, which many people point to, which is part of a student's experience, not the total student experience in terms of measuring success, certainly could stand for improvement in the reading and mathematics scores. But I maintain Minnesotans have always had this strong connection to their community schools and understanding the importance that it does for building those kids for the future. And so while recognizing that challenges are ahead of us, I think disinvesting is not a solution. We maintain that investing in our public schools is the direction that our communities should go. And again, many of these are locally asked questions, and so inherently apparent for our communities to understand what our school districts are asking for. So they're informed when they go into the ballot box to cast a vote.
You've given a couple examples, but what are some things that are up for like in these referendums this upcoming week?
Yeah, no, it's a great question, because what we've seen a little bit over the trend over the last 2 to 4 years is the issue of security. And many of our districts talk about that. That's number one priority, and they are putting their words into action. And many of our districts are trying to find ways to make their staff and students create more safe environments for them, whether it's the entryways for the school buildings or eliminating some entryways in the school building to have all of the parents and students go through one setting. So there's some mechanics to that. I think the other piece is technology. I referred to this earlier. I think many of our districts understand the value and importance of the future of technology. And once you go down that path, as you know, technology advances. All you have to do is look at the AI world that we're in today. Upgrades, additional investments are needed to make sure that they have adequate facilities and adequate technology for their students. So those are two big ones. I think the other one is the general sense of, there's a lot of operating referendums, but the general sense of facility upgrades. Many of these buildings today, whether you're in greater Minnesota or in the 7-county metro area, have old buildings in their school districts. And these are investments that the community has made. And we think it's important as a superintendent and school board to maintain those investments. And so sometimes you just need a little love and care, and that requires some additional investments by the community to make sure that those school districts or school buildings are in great shape and provide great safety for our students.
Kirk, I'm not sure if there's like an exact answer to this, but by how much more taxes or whatever will people be spending if these referendums do get passed?
Right. So that's a great question. So when you look at the whole, we said about 74 of our school districts will be going out, some asking more than one question. On the bonding side and the capital project side, the total amount will be about $1.6 billion. Now, understand that many of our districts in greater Minnesota who are smaller, their portions or their requests reflect the size of their district. So they're going to ask for smaller amounts. The other side of it is that many of our districts go out and inform the communities about what the actual cost will be to a homeowner who may own a home of $250,000 or $350,000, to be very clear of the financial impact if a vote yes is secured, and also sharing the consequences if that is not supported by the community. So and I think one of the great things about doing an odd year election, and many of our districts look at this, is odd year being the odd numbered year. is that it really it allows the districts to kind of shine a light on their requests. You don't get lost in the national politics. You don't get lost in other elections that are happening at the state level. Many of our districts, this may be the only item on the ballot for their citizens.
Kirk, what was kind of like the tone of some of these referendums? Because I read for a while there post-pandemic that it was getting a little competitive, but it seems like things have kind of the tensions have kind of smoothed out a little bit more lately.
Yeah, I think, in addition to the bond or the referendum request, we also have about 20 plus school districts who are having their general election, and there's some special elections for school board seats. So I would say I would agree with you on this comment. I think, during the COVID phase when we were distance learning, there were some very contentious board meetings, and people were lacking trust in their public schools. And so I feel like we're far enough away from that now that we're starting to see things normalize, not only in terms of the number of people who are running for school board seats, but it feels like we're kind of getting back to normal again, where people are back to work and regular life, and referendums from our school districts are part of that. And so it's an inherently, as I said, inherently local piece that our school districts do a really nice job of sharing the needs of those schools.
Kirk Schneiderwind, the executive director of the Minnesota School Boards Association. Where can people learn more about your association?
Well, we're at www.mnsba.org. We're a statewide organization that represents all 331 of our public school districts. And so for election-related pieces, though, I would encourage you to go to your school district's website to learn more, so you are informed when you jump into that ballot box.
Awesome. Kirk, thank you so much. We appreciate you.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
Thanks. I gotta start repping. I gotta rep a school around here.
I thought Cretin was your school.
A public school though, so I can be part of the school boards association.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I just gotta find one. So
somewhere in Minneapolis.
Yeah. I don't know what's like Eastview. What's your big rival high school? Eastview.
I guess kind of Apple Valley, but they're a little bootleg compared to us. They're like little bro.
Okay.
Rosemount, kind of. They're not even little bro. They're like weird.
Yeah.
Second cousin.
Rosemount.
Yeah. Burnsville is like, kind of like acquaintance.
Yeah.
Like they really want to be. Yeah. It's like Burnsville is like the scrappy dude thing where you like hold them and they're like, let me at him.
Yeah.
I guess, there's not really a whole lot of rivals for us
for
in the
Eastview?
Suburban area.
Yeah.
Once we move out of the suburban area, then we start to get our butts kicked. But once we're in the suburbs, Eastview is the king.
What about Edina? Where does Edina come into the fold?
It doesn't come into the fold.
They don't come into the fold?
No.
I thought they have excellent athletics. Hockey, football.
They grew up with the silver spoon. They don't got that hunger, that drive. You know what I'm saying? Because they're too busy driving daddy's Lexus. They don't have the drive on the field. You know what I'm saying? That passion for the sport. Because they know they're just going to go be some like hedge fund executive or something after that. They don't have that drive. Like us at Eastview. Hardworking people,
This is a great segment idea. We need to get you back to Eastview High School.
I did go back recently.
We could do something. Where'd you go back for?
Yeah, I was helping out with some radio station stuff. It was weird. I saw some people, some teachers that I definitely recognized, and they recognized me, and like particularly our security guard. He tried to be all like, "Hey Max, what's up?" I'm like, "Brother, we were not cool. Please don't talk to me. I don't like you. We were never cool. So please don't talk to me."
Did Eastview have the radio station that you didn't like, or was that the University of Minnesota? What's that radio station called?
Radio K.
Radio.
I could call it something else, but I won't do that on these airwaves. But
maybe on National Reconciliation Day, we'll get you and Radio K together, and we could do a treaty.
That would be certainly interesting.
Yeah,
that would be interesting. Yeah, there's some things that they have said and done that I'm sure they wouldn't want to come to light. So but it's like Eastview had its own problems. Some of the teachers, they were cool.
Yeah,
but some of the teachers, like the security guard who shall remain nameless, he tried to. Listen, okay, I'll get into it. Okay, he was the first. Growing up, K through 8, I never had a single any black person in any role, in any teach at any school.
Yeah.
Security guard, counselor, nothing.
Yeah.
So I get to high school.
Yeah.
This black dude, he's security guard. I'm thinking it's going to be like the movies, you know? It's like he's going to be tough.
Right, yeah.
But we're going to grow together.
Yeah.
He'll be like a, like a strong brother, older brother figure,
wasn't
like
the
an
way it
uncle.
was.
No, maybe that's my fault. Maybe that's my fault. I had high expectations for a low expectation guy.
Yeah.
And it turns out he wasn't a cool dude. Yeah. He wasn't interested in being a mentor figure. Yeah. And he's a weirdo.
Yeah.
And he was a professional wrestler, that's not a knock on him, but he just happened to be a professional wrestler.
Yeah.
We did not bond.
Yeah.
We actually we exchanged words at times.
Yeah.
He said some words I didn't like.
Yeah.
I said some words he didn't like.
Right.
But my words had some truth to them. So I did not see the principal's office.
Yes.
He left me alone, and then he tried to, on the sidelines when I saw him, he tried to. What's up, Max? We weren't like that, bro.
Yeah.
No. And it wasn't like Max, like he recognized me from school. He definitely recognized me from either TV, radio, tried to.
Right.
What's
he recognized you
up,
from the afternoon show.
Yeah, maybe he did.
Yeah.
And brother, if you end up on this show, it is not going to be in the context that you like this segment right here, because I was like, hey, my dog, we are not cool.
I think we've booked him for our odd job segment next week.
Oh, I would love that. I would love that, because there's some oddities, all right. There are some oddities.
I didn't know what I was bringing up.
It's a complicated story, but whatever. Yeah. Wish them the best.
Yes.
I guess.
Yes. Shout out to Eastview High School. We are actually not going to go to break. We're going to stay right here because any moment now, Hennepin County Commissioner Irene Fernando is holding a press conference to demand accountability. This is a quote: accountability, transparency, and action from the city of Minneapolis executive leaders because of their. And again, this is a quote, because of their failure to act on a documented systemic gaps in domestic violence response. That's how Irene Fernando feels. There's going to be a press conference momentarily about this. This comes in the wake of two deaths that have been attributed to domestic violence. One, Maria Samuels, killed just last month, and then Allison Lucier, killed in February 2024. There you see some video from a rally that took place earlier this afternoon around 12:30, demanding accountability. There you see Miss Samuels' face and some pictures there from the rally. This happened at 12:30 local time today, down at Government Center in downtown Minneapolis. And there's about to be a press conference with Irene Fernando, the Hennepin County Commissioner, all about this as well, coming up soon.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's obviously, like you mentioned, there's been kind of like some high-profile domestic violence cases, and just in general, research shows that domestic violence and victims of domestic violence are incredibly and tragically underserved around the country in various different ways throughout the legal process. So it's something that we absolutely need to address around the country, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's something that we need to especially address here in Hennepin County as well.
Yes. So like I said, we're standing by for that press conference that should be coming any moment. There's much more on the stories of Allison Lucier and Maria Samuels on fox9.com if you want to read more about this.
Star Tribune too. I don't know if we're supposed to be recommending people to other publications, but this is an important story, and there's a very well-researched piece on the Star Tribune by Liz Sawyer as well.
And this is kind of and maybe this is my fault, but I hadn't even heard of either one of these two cases until today. But I think that's the vast majority of people.
And that's part of the problem as well. It's just kind of becomes one of those things where we've all been desensitized to it. Mm-hmm. It doesn't get as much news coverage and media coverage as it should. Because it's one of those things where people, it's obviously. It's not good news,
Right.
It's not a dog riding a skateboard, and it's not salacious news where you can debate about it at the water cooler. It's serious, real things that are happening to real people, and it's been a problem for decades. And I encourage people out there to listen to stories, look up research, and just see how much of a problem domestic violence and violence around domestic violence is a problem here in the United States. Obviously around the world, but especially here in the United States, a lot of people feel like the legal process has not done them justice whether it's and I believe we have a hotline number. Grace Henry's telling me in our ear for the Domestic Abuse Service Center. If you or anybody you know obviously has any reason to call that number, 612-348-5073. But yeah, it's an epidemic here in this country, absolutely. From the investigation all the way through the legal process, trying to get some of these people who are the perpetrators of this violence actually to have them have consequences. There's so many different hoops to jump through for these people that sometimes they even say it feels like a second crime is happening to them along the way in the legal process, and hence why even as much as we have stats and numbers that show this, it's an underreported crime as well, because so many people fear for their safety or lack trust in the proper procedures to get these people to justice. So it's a huge problem.
Yes. Like I said, we're standing by for Hennepin County Commissioner Irene Fernando. They're going to be holding a press conference momentarily all about this. Grace, maybe we have a live shot of that podium in downtown. There it is. And so at that podium, Irene Fernando will be holding a press conference. This is a quote from the commissioner's office. They're looking to, and again, this is a quote, to demand accountability, transparency, and action from the city of Minneapolis executive leaders because of their failure to act on documented systemic gaps in domestic violence response. This press conference is supposed to begin at 3:30, and Grace, we believe somebody's coming to the podium?
No, I'm saying we can sit on the podium just for a couple minutes and we can regroup. And it was supposed to start at 3:30, but of course sometimes these things run a little behind. So we'll sit on the podium and we'll see when it starts. It should be starting fairly shortly.
Yeah. So there you see this press conference is about to begin. It's going to be led by Hennepin County Commissioner Irene Fernando. This is all about domestic violence cases that have been happening right here in Hennepin County. This comes in the wake of Maria Samuels' death. She was killed just last month by an ex-partner of hers. Irene Fernando, she is the Hennepin County Commissioner, and there she is. Let's listen in.
Thank you all for being here today. I am Hennepin County Commissioner Irene Fernando, but you can call me Commish, and I use she, her pronouns. In 2019, I became the youngest woman to ever serve on the Hennepin County Board. I'm the first Filipino American elected in the state of Minnesota. And in 2023, I became the first board chair of color in Hennepin's 173-year history. Today, I will share troubling information regarding the handling of domestic violence incidences and mistreatment of domestic violence victims by the Minneapolis Police Department. including a lack of accountability for these failures at MPD and in City Hall. I previously released information regarding my attempts to get answers from my neighbors and our community regarding the preventable murder of Mariah Samuels, as well as 2 overdue after-action reports focused on MPD responses to the death of Allison Lucier and the shooting of Davis Muturi in 2024. There has been extensive reporting recently on the Minneapolis Police Department refusing to cooperate with audits being conducted by the Minneapolis City Auditor. As a policymaker, it is protocol and respectful to engage directly with other policymakers. And yet Mayor Frey has not exhibited intrinsic leadership, effective due diligence, or moral resolve regarding domestic violence, intimate partner violence, and gun violence. Since 2018, the mayor has been the sole elected leader responsible for MPD. He appoints the police chief. He's the only policymaker with direct authority over MPD. And in 2022, he became the first Minneapolis mayor to hold expanded executive authority, in part because he asserted that police accountability could only be possible with additional power. Any gap in performance, transparency, or accountability related to MPD resides with the mayor of Minneapolis. Mayor Frey's lack of leadership to respond to these documented systemic failures is proving to be dangerous for the community, especially women, victims, survivors, and children who have been threatened by violence. We are now forced to add a 3rd devastating case to the list of recent failures by MPD. Mariah Samuels was murdered by her abuser on September 14, 2025. Less than a month before, on August 21, she called 911 to report a violent assault in which her abuser pistol whipped her and fled the scene before police arrived. Such situations are called gone on arrival, or GOA. On August 25th, 8 GOA cases, including Ms. Samuels, was referred to the Hennepin County Attorney's Office. On the same day, the County Attorney's Office requested MPD to investigate the case further. On August 26, Ms. Samuels visited the Domestic Abuse Service Center within the Hennepin County Attorney's Office, where she received assistance in completing and submitting an order for protection, or an OFP. The next day, the court granted the order for protection, which contained details from the August 21 assault and several addresses, notably Ms. Samuels' home on the 1400 block of Russell Avenue and the location of the August 21 assault on the 1500 block of Newton Avenue. Ms. Samuels' abuser was served with the order with these addresses listed on August 29. MPD did not assign an investigator between August 21 and September 14, August 21 being the first GOA, and September 14 is the date where Ms. Samuels' life came to a violent and tragic end. On September 14, in the early hours of the morning, Ms. Samuels called 911 again. Her abuser had violated the order for protection by texting her about where she was and who she was with that morning. Inconsistent with MPD's stated commitments to conduct a lethality risk assessment in such situations, no assessment was conducted on this date. Even more troubling, as covered in reporting published this morning, there are substantial fabrications in the police report when compared to body-worn camera footage of the officer speaking to Ms. Samuels. The officer did not ask her if she felt safe, and instead made the assumption that she appeared safe. The officer wrote in the police report that she said her abuser would not know where she was currently staying. She specifically stated the opposite. No domestic violence resources were offered to Ms. Samuels, again, because the officer reported that she, quote, did not appear scared. But why would anyone call 911 in the early hours of the morning after an OFP was granted if they were not scared? Hours later, Ms. Samuels was murdered, brutally shot 10 times at her North Minneapolis home. In the aftermath of this horrifying crime, I sought answers from MPD and Mayor Fry several times. More than a week later, I received a letter from MPD Deputy Chief who repeated multiple elements of the police report that have since been found to be untrue. Mayor Fry has resisted providing even simple questions like staffing levels of domestic violence investigators at MPD for weeks. Therefore, I cannot trust that he is engaging with the systemic questions and data needed to address community safety. If this is about caseloads and resources, then why has the City of Minneapolis chosen to not provide the necessary data in order to uncover systemic gaps and resolve needs? To date, I have received no data from the city on staffing and no proactive leadership in this space. If I, as a policymaker with a gavel and a title, cannot get answers, then how can I trust my residents, neighbors, and constituents are? This morning's reporting shows a material decrease in domestic violence investigators. If there was a decrease in staffing and resources allocated toward domestic violence from 2018 to present, then Mayor Fry must explain why his budgets have deprioritized victims and survivors. It is with profound sadness, sincere ire, and unrelenting resolve that I publicly speak to residents and community today. MPD has promised yet another review. MPD's failure to investigate Allison Lucier's death, review. MPD's handling of Davis Maturi's shooting, review. MPD's failure to address clear danger to Ms. Mariah Samuels, review. Yet MPD will not cooperate with the City of Minneapolis's audits, and now we're learning that they are refusing to release results of their own review, a potential violation of the city charter. As policymakers, we are constantly seeking to advance questions and issues that do not have clear recommendations. Alongside domestic violence providers who have been doing this work for decades, the answers, best practices, and expectations are clear. They were studied in 2023, they were studied in 2017, and we expect accountability, transparency, and action today. It is with a very, very heavy heart to share that as a Minneapolis resident myself, I too am a woman of color in my 30s who lives in North Minneapolis, where the 4th Precinct is meant to respond if I need help. That I must share that I do not have confidence that the City of Minneapolis, under the current leadership structure, is able and capable and potentially even willing to seek the justice and reforms that will prevent similar killings in the future. Moving forward, I will continue centering domestic and intimate partner violence among my priorities, and I promise to remain focused on strengthening systems to ensure that Minneapolis is a safe place where people can trust calling 911. To residents who have experienced the harm or inaction described today, I consider you my constituent and promise to continue to fight for your safety, dignity, and justice. To the families and communities of those I've named today, I hear you and I see you. To our partners and providers, thank you for your advocacy and for standing up and supporting this difficult and necessary work. I am very open to feedback and suggestions, and I look forward to remaining alongside residents, partners, and providers as we build a more accountable, equitable, and safe Minneapolis and Hennepin County. It is my privilege to stand alongside those who do the work every single day. And so I will first invite up Violence Free Minnesota to speak.
Thank you, Commissioner Fernando. Good afternoon. My name is Nikki Engel, and I'm one of the interim co-executive directors of Violence Free Minnesota, the Coalition to End Relationship Abuse. Violence Free Minnesota is a coalition of over 90 programs from across the state who provide advocacy and direct services to victims of domestic and sexual violence. We are here today to support the demand for transparency, accountability, and improvement from the systems and stakeholders charged with keeping all of us safe from violence, whether that violence is at the hands of a stranger or a loved one. Most of us are told that if we are unsafe, if we are in fear, if someone has hurt us, if we need protection, we should call the police. That is the system we have designed to respond to violence and crime. But that system fails domestic violence victims too often, sometimes with catastrophic results. The reasons for this failure are numerous and are not found only in police response. Victims and advocates know that failures are evident at every touch point a victim has in our legal system, including prosecution, the courts, and at the defense table. We place victims in an impossible position. If what has happened to a victim is a crime, and not all abuse is, many victims try to achieve safety and justice through our legal systems. However, in doing so, victims may struggle with the loss of their privacy, long delays in our court calendars, and outcomes that don't align with their needs or improve their safety. Or victims can uproot their whole life if they have the resources to do so. Emergency shelter, relocation, address confidentiality, all of these routes to possible safety come at an incredible cost to victims, their children, and their families. A cost victims shouldn't have to pay, but do. Or victims can defend themselves, and in their survival, find themselves prosecuted by the very system that may not have protected them in the first place. We must do better by victims. Caring about victims requires action. It demands that we are honest and transparent about our failures, that we are proactive and thorough in examining those failures, and that we are committed to coming to the table with advocates and survivors to develop actionable plans for change. This is how we prevent further violence and harm. Mariah Samuels should still be here. Allison Lucier should still be here. The 18 other confirmed victims of intimate partner homicide this year should still be here. If you are a victim of domestic violence, please know that there are community-based programs in your area who can support you. Trained advocates are available to answer your call and assist you in seeking the safety and resources you need and deserve. Anyone in Minnesota can call the Day One hotline at 866-223-1111. Thank you.
Next up is Cornerstone.
Good afternoon. My name is Artika Roller, and I'm the Executive Director of Cornerstone Advocacy Service. And today I speak with a heavy heart and a clear purpose. First, I want to extend my deepest condolences to the families and the loved ones of Allison Lucier and Mariah Samuels. Your strength in the face of such devastating loss is a testament to your love for them. Their lives were important, and we're sorry for their loss. We not only are here today to mourn their loss of our two community members, but to demand accountability and action for all victims and survivors. Their safety should have been our priority. Let's be clear, the person who caused the harm to these two community members, they must be held accountable. But accountability does not stop there. We also must hold our systems and leaders who fail to act accountable. Our leaders who hold the authority and the information and the opportunity to intervene. It's a community's responsibility, not just a policing issue. It's a community safety issue. And community safety is a shared responsibility among us all. We need a collaborative response from Mayor Fry, from our police department, one that includes law enforcement, advocates, public health, professionals, survivors, and neighbors. Because no one agency, no one family can prevent violence alone. We all have to be in this together, and safety is not created in silos. Safety is created in communities. The role of the lethality assessment is a research-based tool that helps officers identify victims at high risk of being killed by their partners. We also must confront the painful truth that Black and brown women are often not seen as victims. They are less likely to be believed, less likely to be protected, and more likely to be blamed for their abuse. This is a result of generations of systematic and racism and gender bias that shapes how institutions respond or fail to respond to the need for help of Black and brown women. Their invisibility is deadly, and we must name it to change it. Our call to action is immediate release of the after action reports for Allison and Mariah, a public commitment from Mayor Frey to implement structural reforms that prioritize survivors' safety and accountability. We're calling on every resident of Minneapolis to join us in building a city where safety is not a right, where safety is a right, not a privilege. And in closing, again, if you know someone that needs help, please call the Minnesota Day 1 Crisis Line at 866-223-111 or text at 612-399-995 for free and confidential support. We can honor Allison, we can honor Mariah by doing better, by working together and to ensure that no one else is failed by these very systems that were meant to protect them. When we believe survivors, we act early, we work together, and in doing that, we save lives. Thank you.
And our last speaker before questions is Domestic Abuse Project.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Amadini Keefe, and I'm the Executive Director at the Domestic Abuse Project, where we work every day to support families impacted by domestic violence. We also have the privilege of coordinating the Domestic Violence Work Group in Minneapolis, a space where community partners, advocates, and system providers come together to improve and strengthen our collective response to domestic violence. In recent months, the tragic death of Mariah Samuels and over a year ago, the death of Allison Lucier have deeply shaken all of us. Their deaths remind us painfully that there are still serious system gaps in how our institutions, from police to prosecutors to service providers, respond to domestic violence. These tragedies force us to look closely at where we are still falling short. As a community, there is a great deal of work yet to be done in building awareness around the nuances of domestic violence and the realities that victims face. For those of us that work with survivors, we know that survivors often underreport the violence that they're experiencing. So when a survivor states that they're concerned about their safety and ask for help, they're doing so because the threat of harm is real. We all share the responsibility of doing better when it comes to believing that domestic violence is a real issue, that it impacts everyone, that it does not always leave a physical mark, and that psychological and emotional violence can and often do lead to physical violence. We also know that the most dangerous time for a victim is often when they are trying to leave an abusive relationship. As a community, building our understanding of why victims don't or can't leave right away and continuing to be a supportive and responsive resource is important in providing pathways to safety for survivors. We need to lead with curiosity, ask more questions, and seek to understand. We also need to ensure safe and stable options for survivors when they're able to take that next step towards safety and are asking for supports, from housing to lock changes to emergency resources, or interventions when an order for protection violation occurs. When we lose women like Allison and Mariah, it reinforces how urgently we need change. Over the last 2 years, the Domestic Violence Work Group created a new risk assessment that is currently being piloted in the 3rd and 4th precincts of the Minneapolis Police Department. This work group is looking at how to enhance the methods used by MPD to assess for risk, reviewing policy and practice around when risk assessments are applied, and how leadership utilizes assessments in determining case pathways, and exploring how these enhanced risk assessments can be used to better support victims, both in securing safety in the community as well as in the social justice system. The type of collaboration we are building is new and necessary. While systems change can be long and slow, we are working intentionally to create sustainable and long-lasting change. But trust remains fragile. The deaths of Allison and Mariah have eroded trust between our communities and the systems meant to protect them. We know that change moves at the speed of trust. Our focus now is on building authentic trust between community and criminal justice, between survivors and system providers. And to do that, that means listening. Listening to families, listening to survivors, and listening to those who use violence to hear where we've been effective, where we failed, and how we can do better. We are striving for sustainable long-term change that transforms agency culture, not just policy. So today I have 3 asks for all of you of access to resources. The first is resources for community-based advocates. We need more staff on the ground to respond to victims in the moment. Resources for safety and stability, for housing, for lock changes, for first month's rent and deposit, for victims to be able to actually leave when they're ready. And resources for offender accountability. Minneapolis is one of the only major cities in Minnesota without a domestic violence high-risk response team. The Domestic Violence Work Group is building a structure for such a team to exist in Minneapolis, but we need the City of Minneapolis and Hennepin County to come together and help build resources to support such a team. We've proven that agencies are willing to show up, but now we need the resources to sustain the work. Allison and Mariah's stories compel us to act with urgency, with compassion, and with collaboration. Let's honor their lives by building a system that listens, that learns, and that protects. Thank you.
I'll open up for questions.
Commissioner, the mayor's office said that they met with you twice on this, and that they made an offer to meet additionally that you didn't take them up on. What were those meetings like? What did you not get from them that you wanted to get?
I did not get data. No commitments to data, nothing to actionably move these specific cases forward, and most importantly, not the leadership and data necessary to move this systemically forward. Throughout my due diligence process, I then learned of the long-standing pattern, and that's what brings me here today. These are not isolated cases. These are preventable. These are addressable, and I am unwavering in my resolve on behalf of victims, survivors, their children, and their families.
Can you share what specific data you're looking for?
Really just started with even just staffing. For whatever reason, over 7 weeks of very documented emails and letters, I was unable to even get a staffing number for 2025 domestic violence investigators compared to 2019. The reason I asked for that validation is because they are the jurisdiction with this information, and I had received other sources of information that communicated a decrease of half of 70%, but I wanted to go to the source and validate that. This morning, there was a report that corroborates this essentially, but I, as an elected leader, have still not been able to receive direct answers, data, or engagement on this topic. But data is just the beginning. We need intrinsic leadership to compassionately, curiously, and accountably create paths for victims, survivors, and providers in a time where injustice is coming at us from every direction.
Who was in those meetings that you're speaking about, and who responded in regards to your data request? Because it sounds like you're requesting data and the Minneapolis PD is just not giving it to you. Did they say they don't have it? Who was in those meetings and who gave you those responses?
we're just going to duck away from that for the time being. We're not exactly sure what happened, but yeah, maybe we can provide a little recap on what we were hearing from Hennepin County Commissioner Irene Fernando.
Yes, that was Hennepin County Commissioner Irene Fernando. There were it was a press conference there on domestic violence. We heard from a number of speakers. This comes after the wake of Mariah Samuels' death last month and Allison Lushier's death in February 2024.
Absolutely, just kind of bringing light to the whole process, like we talked about prior to the press conference. A lot of people feel underserved, not just by law enforcement, but throughout the entire legal process, and we're seeing it play out in real time. And a lot of these domestic violence incidents that unfortunately end up fatal are preventable, and so it's tragic to see, and then obviously we got a lot of people out here in the Twin Cities that want to see that expect better, and we need to see better as a not just as a community here in Minnesota, but just as a human race.
No doubt. More to come from the afternoon shift right after this. Welcome back to the afternoon shift. We are past 4 o'clock here, and we're looking forward to a new hour here on the afternoon shift.
I know, a lot to look forward to. We're going to get into some paranormal activity right around the corner. The Twin Cities Paranormal Society. We got the 2 co-leads here in studio to give us the lowdown on everything that they're doing around the Twin Cities in regards to the paranormal. Very fitting for this week.
Yes, that's right. That's coming up during this hour. In the last hour, we heard from Kirk Schneiderwind, the executive director of the Minnesota School Boards Association, talking all about funding and whatnot. And then we just heard from the Hennepin County Commissioner on domestic violence there, a press conference that happened in downtown Minneapolis.
Yeah, hugely important press conference. And we're going to post the full episode. If you want, you can go back and watch that and check that out. And yeah, Kirk had a lot of good things to say about that. I don't know about good things to say, but he gave us a lot of information on what these school board referendums are and what a lot of school districts around the Twin Cities and around the country are facing.
No doubt. Like Max said, we got paranormal activity coming into Studio 9. We're going to figure out if there's any sort of spirits or ghosts or anything in here. Yeah,
a little paranormal activity, a little paranormal maxtivity. Maybe I'm haunted. Who knows? I don't know. Maybe there's something's going on. Maybe you're haunted. I don't know. We don't know. Maybe they can figure that out. They got the little, they got all their gadgets.
But what if they determine that you are there is some sort of paranormal activity going on?
Maybe we'll do exorcism or something on the show. I don't know. We gotta ask. Yeah. What happens after the fact? Like, well, okay, you established that something's on. What happens then? What happens after that?
What if you learn that there are there's some sort of strange activity going on in this room? Will you?
It depends. Some ghosts seem chill. Some ghosts might just be chill. It might be like spiders. Where it's like you just let them chill in the corner. But it depends. I don't know if they have the ability to let me talk to the ghost, but I just want to holler at them and see what's up. Like, do we got beef? Do we not? If we don't got beef, then you can just chill in here, bro. I don't care. Pull up a seat.
Right.
Host the show with us. Why not?
Right, maybe some of the ghosts from that University of Minnesota radio station have crept their way in here.
Yeah, I don't think they want that. Yeah, I don't think they want that.
Where would you rank that Minnesota radio station on a 1 to 6, 7, 6?
Come on, we had to throw that in there.
We haven't done that yet.
No, we haven't. We got to pull in the youth for our audience. That's what the youth they do, the 6, 7. I still don't understand it.
Yeah,
I don't think it's meant to be understood.
Yeah, where are you going to rank this paranormal activity segment? 6, 7. That's more higher.
That's higher. That's higher than that. That's like a 67 out of 10.
Yes, yeah. The Dodgers, all they got to win are games 6 and 7.
6 and 7.
On Fox 9. Thomas Troop, Don McClain with the Twin Cities Paranormal Society. They're outside, but they might be inside. We just don't know. Like we're still figuring all this out. Oh my goodness! Oh, I thought that was them. Somebody's happening.
Some spooky stuff is happening here on the afternoon shift. We'll solve it right after this commercial.
We're back here on the afternoon shift. There's all sort of weird noises and sounds happening here. It's all paranormal activity, I suppose.
Absolutely. And we got the best people to talk to about paranormal activity, the Twin Cities Paranormal Society.
Yes.
What's going on, y'all?
Nothing, just happy to be here.
Yeah.
It's the season.
Yeah. Are you sure it's just 2 of you, or are there people?
Well,
There's no guarantees. We think
sometimes they follow us home.
Yeah. Thomas Troop, Don McLean, the two
Thank
co-leads of the Twin Cities Paranormal Society. For those out there in the audience that don't know, what do you guys do at the Twin Cities Paranormal Society?
So we investigate residential homes and businesses if they think that they have a haunting or something paranormal going on. So they'll reach out to us, and we kind of vet them a little bit to make sure that it's legitimate, because we get all kinds of interesting emails from people. Some of them are very concise and to the point. Others are just long diatribes of, I don't want to say craziness, but I guess I just did.
Ramblings,
But yeah, and then we arrange a time to go out there, and we spend a good chunk of time in the evening sitting there like a bunch of weirdos talking to the room in the dark and hoping to get responses.
Yeah. How'd you get into this line of work, the paranormal activity sort of work here? I'm quite fascinated by all of this.
Yeah.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Well, okay. I mean, I've always been fascinated with it.
Yeah.
I've always been interested. I was a huge skeptic. I didn't believe it necessarily, but I wanted to, because I think it's super interesting. I wanted to do research for a children's book I was writing about ghosts, and I thought, well, what better way to learn about this than to join a team? Yeah. And here I am, like 12 years later, kind of. Wow. Now we're stuck running the team. So.
How about you, Don?
I was doing a live broadcast out at a haunted house in my home state of Missouri, and they were like, hey, you want to come on an investigation with us? And I said, sure. So I joined a team in Missouri, and then I moved up here for radio, and now I'm with the Twin Cities Paranormal Society.
Wow. Yeah. Well, it's kind of like, is there like is Minnesota more... Is there
more
haunted?
Going
on? Yeah, more haunted than Missouri?
Gosh, it's just maybe different kinds of... Every team is different. Yeah. So this is a scientific-based team, so we base all of our evidence on what we gather through equipment. Mm-hmm. So we don't really go off of feelings. We have nothing against psychics or anybody who does that kind of work. It's just not what we do. So it's just a different type of team.
Yeah. You brought a number of different tools here. What are, some of them have different light up capability. What do some of those things do right there?
Sure. Well, the big thing that we use the most are what are called K2 meters. They measure EMF, electromagnetic frequencies. And so the idea is that when you have this on, and it's making noises because it's picking up the electrical stuff here. Mm-hmm. It's not that the studio's haunted, I don't think.
The lights do turn on and off sometimes.
They do. Yeah. Well, I did notice this one was going kind of crazy too.
Yeah, I turned it off.
Okay.
It's distracting.
So yeah, we can ask questions, and sometimes as we're asking things, it'll light up and things, and we think, okay, maybe there's something there. The idea is that spirits and ghosts can produce electromagnetic waves and things like that. This is basically kind of the same thing. It's just a little prettier.
Oh, that's sweet.
And that's probably the most it's actually made noise and since I've owned it.
That's because of all the equipment.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
It's good because it shows that it's working and that there might be something here, but I think it's just a lot of the microphones
cameras,
and stuff.
stuff
Yeah,
like
so
that.
they can. So usually.
I don't like that. No.
Yeah, let's turn this one off. It's annoying.
That one's really.
To red.
Yeah.
You shut that one off pretty quick. It did go into red though.
Right. Well, it's usually pink, and so we just call it the pink lantern because it very rarely makes any noise.
Okay.
And then this is the same thing. It's just like a stream of Christmas lights almost. And so each one of these is an individual K2 meter. So we'll put this down a hallway or in a doorway and ask, hey, can you light up those lights? Or we'll put a night vision camera on it to see if there's any activity, if people have like seen an apparition down a hallway or something like that.
So how did you guys what is the training like? How did you guys figure out how to use all this kind of stuff?
There really is no training.
Yeah.
We just kind of jump right in. Like when I first joined, it was just, you sign up for an investigation, you show up, you don't really know what you're doing. And you're like, okay, everyone's asking questions. And you're like, I guess I'll try.
Yeah.
Is there someone here? What's your name? Things like that. We never usually get answers to those questions.
Right.
But yeah, it's just having done it for a while, it's second nature, I guess. So.
Yeah.
When you say that you're in a room and you're kind of just speaking to the room, and so what kind of questions do you ask in the room?
Well, we typically like to do some research beforehand. So we try to see if there are names and things that we can kind of call out. But we're just asking mostly, is there anyone here with us? hey, we're not Ghostbusters. We're not trying to get you to leave necessarily. We are just wanting to talk with you. You know, the whole idea is that these were people once too. You know, so there's a lot of these shows where people are yelling and screaming and, come on, what do you got, bro? You know, and screaming. We don't do that. We're probably pretty boring, but we're actually respectful. And that's kind of our mantra is to, you know, treat the dead like we would treat the living.
And off the back of that, kind of like when you guys first get a request and you deem that it's like a real request and it's something worth investigating, what like from step one all the way through, what does an investigation look like?
Okay. There's a lot to it.
Yeah.
So hopefully this isn't going to be too boring. But yeah, we get an email from people. We set up a phone interview. We talk with them just to kind of get an idea if there's a real person there. I would say 80% of the emails we get and we respond to go unanswered. It's almost like the idea that there's someone real responding to their query scares them off a little bit. But then once we kind of do that, we go out to the property the first time, meet with the people. They give us a tour of kind of the hot spots of where things are happening. And we ask them a bunch of tough questions, try to get to know them a little bit. I mean, everything from how long have you lived here, you know, any kind of health things that we need to know about medications you're on. Are you taking drugs? Are you a heavy drinker? Those kind of things. And then once we decide, we'll do an investigation, we come out. The thing we like to say is we don't show up in like a mystery machine. We're very low key. We don't even wear our cool sweatshirts.
Those are sweet, by the way.
Thank you. So yeah, we kind of come in there pretty low key. Yes, we're holding a bunch of cases, and their nosy neighbors are going to probably think, oh, there's someone moving in here, or what's going on. And then we usually, if we can, we have the homeowners leave and just have them leave us there for 6 hours, 8 hours, or whatever it is until we've had enough, I guess. And then the really glamorous part is afterwards, we take all the footage from our night vision cameras, our digital recorders and things like that, and we split it up and we spend time watching empty rooms where nothing is happening, hoping for a voice or an image or something, and listening to all the audio. We kind of share it with each other and say, hey, do you think this is something? Is this something? You know, we're always looking to debunk things. We're not, you know, oh, there's a creek, it's haunted, you know. And then from there, we put all of our evidence together, type up a pretty lengthy report, pretty detailed report, and we go back out to the property a third time and do a reveal where we tell them, here's what we found, you know. We don't have a stamp that goes, oh my gosh, this place is 100% grade A haunted. We just don't. You know, we said, while we were there in this amount of time, here's what we found. And from there, we can say, you know, it doesn't seem like it's bad. For most people, they just want to be validated and know that they're not crazy and that they think that if there's something there, we can say, yeah, we found stuff too. We had voices and stuff that we heard.
What kind of voices have you actually heard before in your experiences?
Oh, everything from like Get Out, which is, you know, you're sitting in your own house like with headphones on and you don't hear it in the moment when you're there, but whenever it's like screaming Get Out, sometimes it's startling and you throw off your headphones. It'll call out our names. They like to talk about us to each other. That's another thing I think people don't know. Like, they're like, here they come, or don't say a word, or like, be quiet, there she is, things like that. Some are so random.
We get a lot of help me's, which is, we have a clip of that we could probably show you too. But it's interesting because, so there's a clip at the Black Forest Inn restaurant in Minneapolis. And there's a clip that we have at the bar where we have a camera positioned right outside of the men's bathroom. And if you go ahead and play it, you'll hear something.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So
that's spooky.
That night when we did our investigation, we don't, again, like Don said, we don't hear it in the moment. So a lot of people said, well, Don, are you guys able to help them? It's like, well, no. Because A, we didn't hear it until later. And then B, how do you help a ghost? You know what I mean?
Right.
We don't know what they need help with. I mean, in this case, it was someone, it was like I said, right outside the men's bathroom. We didn't know if someone was stuck in the bathroom. They needed, you know, help in there for some reason. I don't know, you know, but so yeah, there's a lot of help me's that night. So we weren't sure how to help them. This other clip that we have is me setting up a camera and at this point, I had never gotten any evidence. I'd been on the team for 7 years. And so I was this hardcore skeptic. I really felt like ghost repellent. Like anytime I was on an investigation, nothing was coming to me or talking to me. And so I was setting up a camera, and this is the chunk of footage I ended up with. And so we were setting up a camera to do another thing called the Estes method. And so while I'm sitting there with my headphones in my basement, waiting for hopefully something to happen after 7 years, this is kind of what we got. So if you go ahead and play that.
Oh. Very, very, very strange.
Yeah. So not only was that my first clip, it actually knew who I was, which is a little unsettling. So I took my headphones off. I'm like, did this just happen? Did I actually, is this my first EVP? So kind of intense. And ever since, I don't know if I've opened myself up more to hearing stuff, but I get stuff pretty regularly now.
Yeah. So was your reaction like excitement? Was it fear?
I was a little creeped out.
It's exciting.
Yeah. It was exciting, but for me it was a little scary because it was the first one. So and it was my name, which how do they know who I am?
Right.
So,
Don, what was your first kind of like notable encounter like?
It was, I think, pretty exciting because once again it was my name and we hadn't even spoken sometimes like when we start a session we'll go around the room and say like, hey, I'm Dawn, I'm Thomas, and we'll just say we're just here to talk to you, we're not trying to make you go away, so they know our names. But whenever like I went to a haunted prison, which is open to the public to investigate, and I heard my name in the moment, and then I'm like, I think I just heard my name, and then we went back and checked it, and it was like, oh yeah, it's saying your name. So it's exciting, we're not thrill seekers, but whenever we get evidence, we do get excited about it.
Right.
Yeah.
What do you have to say maybe to some people out there that are a little skeptical and they're like, they just spliced that audio in or whatever? You probably get that all the time. What do you say to those people?
Yeah. I mean, we do events and things like that where you get some people are in the front row and they got their arms folded and they're like, my wife dragged me to this. I don't want to sit and listen to stuff. We let them know we're not the kind of team where we play pranks on each other and we're not just doing this for fun. I mean, if we really wanted to have really exciting clips, we could totally doctor them up.
Oh, yeah.
Sure,
We've got some clips where we're like, this didn't make the cut because it's just really
so many of those.
It's so hard to hear. It's just, doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, we are not the kind of team where we're going to sit in front of a camera and play a prank like, I'm going to get Thomas, I'm going to say his name in front of, he'll catch this later. We just don't.
And we're not into convincing anybody that ghosts are real. Like we don't, I don't mean to say it this way, but I don't really care.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't matter to me whether or not people think it's real. So we don't have any vested interest.
Right.
We don't make money off of it. Yep. We're a nonprofit. We don't charge people.
Yeah.
So.
And we do get a lot of people who will email us their footage or the things that they've found, and they want us to chime in whether, hey, is this paranormal or not?
Yeah.
And we always say, well, it's interesting, but A, we weren't there when it happened, so we don't know what the conditions were like, and we don't know if you're just trying to pull one over on us.
Yeah.
So we say, very interesting. Well, is it paranormal? Can't say.
Don't know.
Can't say. But it's fun to listen to or look at, so good for you.
Yeah. Good for you.
You mentioned like a certain, I forget what the Essex method. What was the
Estes.
method? Estes method. So what is kind of like the present? Do you guys have like a community that you guys are all learning from each other and stuff? Or like how do you pick up these different methods and whatnot?
Yeah, you love the Estes method. Do you want to talk about
Yeah,
it?
you hate it.
Yeah.
So it involves the least scientific thing that we use, which is a spirit box. And it scans radio frequencies very quickly. It's kind of annoying to listen to. It's like a and in between, you can tell if it's a DJ or not, like if you hear like this weekend, the Twins or something like that. But then sometimes it will answer questions that we've asked.
Yeah.
And so the Estes method was developed in Estes Park, Colorado at the Stanley Hotel, which is where Stephen King wrote The Shining. They have a paranormal team on staff there, and they developed this to sort of debunk the theory that this thing works. So you blindfold yourself, you put on headphones, and you plug into this. And you can't hear what the questions are being asked.
Right.
So I'm just cut off from the rest of, I can't hear them or see them. So I just call out when I hear words. And, it can sometimes turn into like a real conversation.
Yeah.
It's kind of uncanny how real it is. And then sometimes we're always skeptical, and we always say, like, are we creating a narrative here? So
I'm not even gonna lie. Like, I just saw like one of the, like a piece of your hair, and just like kind of just like foot, and just kind of just went up. But it's very bizarre because normally stuff like that goes down, but it just like, went up. Like I'm not even gonna lie like right now. Like,
well, I have on investigations before had my hair pulled like this.
Oh my God.
In the dark,
But I just saw it, like it went up. It didn't go down. Like hair goes down like that. It went up. Like that was very strange right there. I saw that as you were talking. My eye kind of caught it. I was like, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, maybe there's something in here.
Well, I was gonna say, would you all? We're gonna take a break, but would you all be willing to stick with us and maybe you can do a demo in this room and kind of maybe get to the bottom of some
we
things?
could try. Yeah.
Try.
Yeah, sure.
All right.
Absolutely. I got a lot more questions for sure.
No, hopefully we have answers.
Yeah, this has been awesome.
Some more paranormal activity coming up after this. We are back with Thomas Troop and Don McLean of the Twin Cities Paranormal Society. This is right in your wheelhouse, Max.
Yeah, absolutely. I was telling them I've gone on an investigation with two of their former teammates in the past. So I'm a little familiar with their techniques, but I'm still ever interested. Around this time of year, do you guys get like an uptick in requests and stuff like that? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we love the month of October, but it is also the busiest month.
Right.
I'm not sure why, but yeah, we get a lot of emails and stuff.
Yeah, we do.
Maybe you all can test out some things here. I know you pulled that guy out earlier, and it was
sure.
The red lights went up, but
yeah.
If there's anything like what would be the normal protocol for a space like Studio 9 here?
Well, the only problem is that it has so much electricity in it, and we're such like sticklers. I mean, we turn it on, and it'll probably consistently have a little beep to it.
Yeah.
But this is what it's all based on. Isn't.
See if this guy's gonna go nuts again.
Yeah. That's very sensitive, yeah. So this one is actually, it's like if you get in the field of it, that's when it beeps. So that's called a REM pod. And so if anyone comes close to it, we'll put it down a hallway where, somebody's seen something. And if we hear it in another room going off, we'll all run over there and do it. But, yeah, I mean...
And it's usually when we're not in the room that thing goes off.
Yeah.
We'll be off doing our own thing, kind of, talking into the dark, and we'll hear it. It's like, like Don mentioned, a lot of times they're talking about us. They like to talk like while we're setting up, which is kind of funny.
Yeah.
So we're always recording because we've learned our lesson that most of our clips are while we're setting up. And so we have this idea that they're interested in us at first when we first get there, but then once we're off trying to actually talk to them, they're like, let's move over to a different room. And then they get close to these kind of things. And so.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, the thing about the way we do things is, people watch a lot of YouTube shows. Those are completely different from what we do. Right. They're super fun and interactive, and it's like they're doing live shows and they want views. Yeah. So, we're listening to things after the fact, so because we don't know if they're answering at the time. Right. So I wish I could be more exciting, but I mean, this is kind of chilled out. Well, see. Oh. It's kind of chilled out, but this is just, it's going off because of the...
You're on edge, Doc. You're on edge.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen this with your own eye, like actually like seen a ghost before, like see like a chair move or whatever? And listen, I know that, you don't always have to see to believe things, right?
Yeah.
I get that, but have you ever actually seen...
I guess what's kind of like the most visceral situation?
I mean, it's kind of rare to see an apparition. People come up to us and say all the time, like, oh, yeah, we've had a ghost appear to both of us. And we're like, you have? Because if, I have only seen something at home, but it wasn't on an investigation. So, yeah.
So just kind of, I guess, like, anecdotally, and I mean, obviously, it's a hard question to answer, but what do you guys think that we know about ghosts? Like, what do you guys know from your experience about ghosts?
Yeah.
What are they like? Kind of, because I feel like we talked about before. You're saying like a lot of the times it's like they're not here to do anything wrong. They're just chilling, you know.
Right.
But we see in the movies, it's always like
Oh.
they're possessing some creepy doll,
throwing stuff across the room.
Right? Yeah. For some reason, they're possessing a child and not like LeBron James.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
Everybody,
Maybe
you know,
they
like,
are.
Right, like, that makes
He's
way
so
more
good.
sense, right?
Right.
Why wouldn't you possess like a Vikings defensive end to go attack everybody than like a small child? But it's not. That's not how it is like in actuality. So anecdotally, I guess, like what has your experience been like?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a variety of different things that it can be. I feel like it can be I feel like it can be an imprint of something, or like just residual energy from someone that was at a place. Let's say that you were doing this job for 30 years. You're doing the same thing talking to different people, of course, but just doing the same thing. You might leave like an imprint of yourself there. So they might go, "Oh my God, did you see that guy get behind that microphone?" You know what I mean? There's been stories of that kind of thing happening like throughout history. I do think some things are intelligent, you know, like having them say your name or respond. There's a clip that Don did when we were at the West Virginia Penitentiary in Moundsville, and she's asking questions, and this flashlight is going off and on as she's asking a question. She said, "You know, have you been through this way?" You know, the light goes off. She goes, "Oh, can you turn that off for me?" The light goes off.
Yeah, if you just have a mag light, which I don't recommend people investigating in their own homes, but if you get a mag light and sort of unscrew it to where it's almost on and almost off, but you can still like not make it come on by moving the table, it will respond to you. Like you can have a conversation with it. You know, like turn that on, turn that off. As far as like your other question, we don't know what's going on the other side, because if we did, we'd be really rich. But I think that maybe people get stuck here, and I'm less skeptical than some other team members, I have to admit. But I think that maybe when people die, either they don't know they're dead, or they have something that is unfinished that they can't resolve, and it could be that they are afraid to move on because, you know, throughout history, religious cultures have put into the minds like you're going to hell. And I think some spirits that are sort of the more naughty spirits, they don't want to move on because they're afraid of what's next. You know, and people are afraid of, you know, like they're afraid of these ghosts that move things in their house, and they say it's mean and maybe demonic. And we don't deal with that. Like, if anyone says demon, we're like, we're going to send you to a church or a different team that is religious. Equipped to handle it. We don't do demons.
Maybe to that point, maybe ghosts have such a negative connotation, but maybe sometimes it could be a good thing, right? It could be a good spirit that's with you and is trying to help you. Or
We've had plenty of people say that they feel like it's the spirit of a deceased relative, like a loved one or whatever. So, I mean, there's something to that. I think, you know, like I said, sometimes after we kind of say, here's what we found, we say, yeah, there might be something here. They're like, okay, no, that's cool. I can live with that, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's weird. The other thing too that we see is when people do construction on maybe an older home, it seems like sometimes activity ramps up. It's almost like the person saying, "What are you doing to my house? Right. You're adding this bathroom and this."
Yeah,
addition.
I don't want it there.
Want that. Yeah, so.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah.
Now there's a whole community of like kind of like paranormal, like, I mean, investigators around the Twin Cities that handle a whole different range of different stuff. Like you guys mentioned, when you hear demon, I'm out. But there's you guys have like a whole community, and I know it's a well knit community. You guys do all types of events around the Twin Cities. You got any events coming up?
Yeah,
we do. This Sunday at Malcolm Yards, we are kind of rolling I guess we can call it our greatest hits. It's called Ghost Stories at Market at Malcolm Yards. Mm-hmm. I don't remember what the times are.
4 or 6 p.m.
And you can go on their Instagram and Malcolm Yards or ours, which is Twin Cities Paranormal Society. There's a link to get tickets. So there's 2 different sessions. I think it's like $22 or something. But we will play things throughout the history of TCPS that just are really good clips, and then also what we've found this year. So it's like an annual thing that we do. And it's so fun.
And, I mean, I don't want to sell this too high, but you might get a free gift if you go.
Oh, yeah.
I've got a sample for you guys.
Oh,
so
very nice.
These are Ghosters.
Ghosters.
These are glow-in-the-dark coasters with our logo on there, and
Awesome.
there you go.
Amazing.
Thank you so much.
There you go,
This is
Max.
absolutely
Yeah. So I'm
incredible.
just saying, if you show up, you might end up with a ghoster.
Amazing.
This is
amazing.
incredible.
Awesome. I'm going to bring this
Ghoster.
home. That's going to be great.
Scary good souvenirs.
Scary good souvenirs. Thomas Troop, Don McClain with the Twin Cities Paranormal Society. We appreciate it.
Thank you
Thanks
for having us on.
This was fun. Really.
doubt.
Thanks, guys.
No doubt. More to come from the afternoon shift after this. Yeah. Max, have you ever thought about starting your own band before?
Absolutely. I mean, listen, they don't call me maxx-fuller for no reason,
Oh,
brother.
that's right.
Yeah, I've thought about it. You know, I would play the didgeridoo.
Yeah.
I just need people to fill out the rest.
Yeah.
And obviously, you got every great band has a didgeridoo player.
Didgeridoo, yeah.
You know what it is?
Oh, yeah.
Well, Paul knows about it.
Yes.
But me and Paul talked about, starting a band.
Oh, okay.
You know,
Maybe- Yeah.
we know you're a little too eager to want to sing.
I want to be a singer, yes. Yeah.
We don't want to let you down. So,
Yes.
like, if you can bring some other skills to the table, maybe
Yes.
we'll consider letting you in our band. Grace is in our band.
Grace is in our band.
Yeah, I play the spoons.
Oh, all right. Oh, spoon. Okay, all right.
She's
Okay.
a psychic. She's a benzo. Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the most unique bands in the whole state of Minnesota. They're called Reasonable Doubts. We have one of the members of Reasonable Doubts here, Judge Bowen. Grace, I know that this is a friend of yours, and you pitched us the story, and it's an awesome story, yeah?
It's so cool. I mean, I hadn't heard about it until I saw it on the news, and I cannot believe my mom had not told me about it. But it's pretty cool, and we actually have the justices who created it joining us too, Justice Hennessy and Justice McCaig. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having us.
So how did you guys get started with the Reasonable Doubts?
Well, that would be me. I thought it was time that we did something semi-fun in the judiciary because we don't really get to have a whole lot of fun. So I sent out an email to the branch and asked if people would like to join a band and got some really fun responses, and we were off and running.
This is an all-judge band, yeah? I mean, this is a very unique concept, Judge Bowen. How did you come up with the name? How did you decide just to have an all-judge, ordeal come
Was
together?
there other names in consideration? 'Cause I feel like you guys missed a chance at the Justice League.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, that is totally in my wheelhouse, in my age group. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. Still a huge Justice League fan. I think there were a lot of names bandied about on through email, and I don't remember any of the other ones, to be honest. I didn't really get to pick.
JWA, Judges with Attitude.
Oh, I like that too. Wow, gosh, I mean, I don't know. Well, I mean, if everybody else wants to form a judge band, I mean, let's just go to you, Max, and just ask you for the ideas. Amazing. Yeah, I'm not that creative.
How can music bring judges together? Yeah.
Well, music can bring anybody together. Mm-hmm. That's just the truth. Anybody who's ever played in an ensemble, but it's more than just music. If you have a company softball team, you have a church choir. I mean, just togetherness is really what this is about. But music is interesting in that, we're all people who've played in bands before, and we've played in music ensembles. And I think it's just cool to meet people who have similar interests, And music is a group project. You all have to pull your own weight. Mm-hmm. You all have to contribute. You got to practice. And so it's just an awesome way to find kindred spirits throughout the judiciary and meet new people. I was a new judge when I first joined. I'd only been a judge about 6 months, and so I was actually pretty intimidated to join the group. And so they welcomed me in, and it's been a really fun experience.
That's awesome. How about justices? How did you all first get involved in this and come up with the concept of an all judiciary band here?
Well, it was started by Justice McCaig. When she sent out that email, most of us were district court judges. I was a district court judge at the time. And when Justice McCaig asks you to do something, you don't really say no. So that was part of it. But it was also, being a district court judge is really difficult work, and it can be very stressful. There's a lot of secondary trauma that's involved. And as you guys are, I'm sure, aware, it's really important to have something in your life, especially something creative, that can help you sort of process the trauma and the stress. And music, I think, does that in part for all of us. And so not only has it been a way to connect with other judges and with each other, but it has been a way to get away from the stress of our job and to just feel better about being human beings out in the world doing something fun and creative.
And also, I would say, I just would add that You know, being on an appellate court is very isolating, and we don't get to spend a lot of time with our district court colleagues. And for me, this was another way of actually sort of bridging that gap between district court and the appellate courts. And then also just a chance for us to get to know each other in a way that we would not normally be able to do so. I would not have probably met Judge Bowen except for maybe at a passing at a judges conference. And so this has been great opportunity for us to spend time with people that we would not normally spend time with in a really fun and meaningful way.
What has been the reaction from your colleagues and from other judges and justices? Has there been people trying to join the band, or is it pretty limited? Like, what has been the reaction from the people that you work with?
It has been so much fun. So we play at judges conferences. That's how it started. And at the first conference where we played and we were sort of the main thing on the agenda that evening, everyone almost immediately got up and started to dance. And, you know, judges tend to be a little reserved, a little careful. And so it was so nice to, I think because we were a little bit vulnerable, you know, we're in our 50s, we're up there playing rock music and dancing around. And I think that made other people feel comfortable with just enjoying the music and having a good time. And everyone was so enthusiastic. It's been so much fun.
And I think John can address the issue about if people have asked to be in the band.
Yeah, I think we've had people reach out and say, "Hey, look, I love music and I've played in bands, and do we have a spot?" The problem right now is that we have 9 people in the band, and so it's pretty maxed out right now. We have 2 guitar players. We have a pretty full ensemble overall, so it's kind of hard to fit us all on one stage at this point. So it's hard to turn people away who are enthusiastic, but at the same time, we barely can fit on a stage with all of our gear. We have guitar players who have a lot of gear. And you probably know how that works with musicians. And so it's just kind of hard just to find space on a stage at this point.
Yeah. Well, if you guys need another player, I got didgeridoo player.
Didgeridoo.
I'm not a judge, but I watch a lot of Judge Judy, Judge Mathis, Judge Joe Brown, all of it.
Okay, then you're qualified. Okay, all right. And then we have spoons here. So we can do Spoon Man by Soundgarden. All right. Well, we've already expanded our repertoire here by 2 more songs.
Speaking of songs that you guys might play, it sounds like you have some bangers on the set list. You had the whole party rocking when you guys were performing. What kind of music are you guys performing? Who plays what? Tell us about the music itself.
Well, we play Justice. We play a pretty wide variety of music. A lot of it is what you call classic rock. We started off trying to play songs that were sort of law-related. I Fought the Law by Bobby Fuller 4, which The Clash, of course, made famous. Yeah, absolutely. What other ones did we do that were sort of legal-related? We tried to start with that theme, and then we just realized, well, gosh, out of popular music in the last 60 years, how many fun songs are there we can play? So we play, the Eagles, Journey. What else are we playing, Justices?
We've now thrown in AC/DC.
AC/DC. We play Beyonce.
Oh, wow. Okay. Single ladies?
Maybe McPherson.
We're playing, what song are we playing by Beyonce? I'm drawing a blank right now.
Texas Hold'em.
Texas Hold'em.
Oh.
Yeah, we kind of play, a bluegrassy version of it, but we try to stay, true to it. And so, I think that's a fun one.
You all in a big event called Wah Wah Palooza.
Get it?
In Chicago. Yeah, it's Wah Wah Palooza. I think it was last week in Duluth. Is that right?
Yeah.
How did that go?
That was awesome. First of all, it's an amazing cause. So, in the state of Minnesota, it's hard to find lawyers that you can afford. That's a common barrier for so many people. And so we have legal aid organizations throughout the state, and one of them is called Justice North, and they are staffed by several attorneys, and they provide free legal services to people. And so it was a benefit for that entity. And so it was a fundraiser. We got up and we played for other attorneys and family members and just any member of the public that came and supported that cause. So it was a positive thing to do. It was a lot of fun. We got to play with a lot of other musicians. We did Closing Time by Semisonic as the encore. We got all the different people up on stage, and we probably had 20 people on stage playing Closing Time together and singing that. And so, that was it was amazing, and it was for a good cause.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Got us out of the Twin Cities too. We got to go north up to Duluth, which was
beautiful.
Made it even more special.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very cool.
What are your typical gigs like? I know Lollapalooza was kind of a special circumstance. What do your typical gigs look like?
It's usually a judges conference. We've played it's kind of getting to be an annual thing now that we are the sort of the headliners, I guess, for the Judges Conference. But we also have a couple other things that we're playing at, but it's for legal events. We're doing this for colleagues, for other lawyers. That's primarily where we're playing.
Except for we're going to hit the big stage at Bina Fest, which is up in the northwest part of the state, located on the Leech Lake Reservation. It's a very small town, but they've been trying to hold a festival every year. And since it's near my hometown, I said, hey, don't you want us to come and play? And they, of course, said yes. So I think that'll be really fun. And that's a bigger event. There's probably, I would say 500 to 1,000 people that attend that.
Oh boy! Wow. All right. Yikes. Okay. now I'm getting nervous. All right. Deep breath. All right.
Is First Avenue next for you?
Oh,
You're talking about Lollapalooza and
well,
all these other things.
actually, we played at the Fine Line. Yeah, we played at the Fine Line Music Cafe last month. There's a National Public Radio show called Livewire Radio, hosted by a fellow named Luke Burbank, and we played at the Fine Line Music Cafe. We were the guests at that, and so we played there. That was just amazing, just being on that kind of stage where I've seen so many bands and I've been to so many shows there, and going there, the excitement there was just incredible, and that was a truly amazing experience.
Yeah, that had to have been pretty surreal. You guys mentioned how this has kind of like brought you guys together from different parts, even though you guys are all in a similar, job. It's brought you guys together from all different parts of that job and all different parts of the world. What's something you guys have learned about each other since you've been in the band?
Well, I like I said, I was a new judge, and I was a lawyer for, 18 years, but when I became a judge, I didn't really know what judges were like outside of the courtroom, and I hadn't really gotten to know them, and so I was incredibly intimidated to be around other judges. I thought, oh no, these people are going to think, okay, hey, new guy, and but I think the welcoming nature, the fun-loving nature of us, we're just normal people, and we like to jam, and I think it was just kind of being welcome into that group as, hey, you're not the new guy, you're just one of us.
And everybody's got a great sense of humor, which I of course appreciate. So I feel like I've found some camaraderie in that, because I always like to be a little bit crazy and a little bit silly. And again, I think just bridging and of course continuing to respect the work that our colleagues do in the district court, which they are hard workers, and it's a hard job. So being able to get outside of ourselves a little bit in a very different way is so healthy.
It's also really nice because when we get together to practice or to play, we don't talk about the law. We never talk about cases. We don't talk about politics. We are just playing the music, having a good time, being silly.
Fighting about song choice.
Yes.
Because her choice is not my choice.
I actually have good taste in music.
So she says.
I don't get to pick, so I don't think we're going to be playing a lot of like depressing '80s music, which is sort of my wheelhouse. So, I don't know if people are really going to want to listen to some of the stuff that I like. So I don't get to pick.
So cool. Reasonable Doubts. Where can people at home find your music? Can they download it? How can we find it?
Well, I think that Fox 9 has been to a rehearsal, and then there's been some video taken there. So I think if you go online, you can probably find some reels of us and some videos.
Are you guys ever going to be on Spotify or anything like that?
I don't know, because we're playing covers, so I don't know if anybody really necessarily needs to hear our rendition of everything. I mean, we try our best, we practice, but I think we'll leave Spotify to the pros.
Yeah. No, instead go to the court's Instagram. Because not only then can you see the reasonable doubts, but you can learn about the judicial branch, which is part of the reason we're doing this, to try to get people interested in the quiet branch of government. So look at our Instagram site, check out the reasonable doubts, and learn all kinds of things about what we do.
And there is going to be a piece that will be on ABC News. We're not sure when that's going to air, but they came from New York and spent some time with us a few weeks ago. So that will come at some point. And I think the live wire piece is going to drop on November 7th.
Awesome.
Wow.
Awesome.
You guys are famous. You guys are making it.
I'm famous.
Lots of content coming for Reasonable Doubts. Judge Bowen, Justices Hennessy, and McCagg, thank you all so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. This has been fun.
Awesome.
I think those Reasonable Doubt kids,
Yes.
they got something.
They got something going.
They got something.
going. They just need now you.
They're missing a didgeridoo player.
The
but that's
didgeridoo.
neither here nor there.
Yes. More to come from the afternoon shift after this. Back here on the afternoon shift, quickest commercial break of all time.
Seriously, we just wanted to get back. We could not wait to recap the show.
Yes. Maybe it was those ghosts that were kind of bringing us back.
Maybe, yeah. I'm not even joking. As we went to break, the machine started to go off. It really did start to go off. It was pretty freaky.
It was very.
Even they said, "Hey, it's not supposed to go off."
It's not
like they weren't trying to pull. They were surprised too. They were like,
"Yeah."
What? So I don't know. Maybe there's inconclusive whether this studio is haunted.
Yeah. That was just one of the great things that we did today. We did so many other great things today. We talked about school boards,
from referendums to reasonable doubt.
Yep. From I'm trying to think. I got it from harps to Justice Hennessy.
Yeah. From paranormal to paralegal.
Paralegal. That's right. I really just wanted to say Justice Hennessy's name again.
It is a great name.
Great
Justice
name.
Hennessy.
Great name.
Yeah.
Yes. LeBron James likes that name too.
Yeah. He did a whole fake retirement.
He did
just to pay homage to Justice Hennessy.
Just great Justice Hennessy. I don't know if we're supposed to roll this in, but it looks like. Is that a live shot of the president and the first lady there handing out candy? You want to put that up, Grace?
A little bit early, don't you think?
Max,
he knows it's the 30th, right? First of all, those are all adults. None of them have costumes. They're breaking all the rules of Halloween. Most of those people had no costume. Most of them were adults.
Hey, it looks like she's wearing a Dodger hat right there.
It's the 30th.
Let's put that back up. Let's get the Dodger hat in here. Hang on, he's handing it to a Dodger fan. One more time. Let's put that back up.
Let's do
we missed it. We missed it. Okay. Did you ever have any desire to go trick-or-treating at the White House?
It would be a dream come true. I hope he invites me next year because, trust me, I would have a lot to say. If I ever trick or treat.
What if he handed you your favorite candy? Then take the candy.
Yeah, I'd probably take the Kit Kat. I'll take the Kit Kat first, and then give him a piece of my mind. I won't break him off a piece of that Kit Kat, but I'll break him off a piece of my mind.
Yeah. The Fox and I 5 o'clock news is starting soon with Kelsey and Simone. Max will be back tomorrow.
Yes, sir. We'll be back same time, same place. In the meantime, I'm Max Fuller. He's
Adam-llorens.
Adam-llorens. Paul, Grace, everybody. The 5 o'clock news starts now.